Good evening, everybody. Thank you. This is a participation sport. That's great. I like having young people at the meeting. Could I have a motion to return from executive session?
Second.
We are back in public session. Could we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. For those of you who do not know who I am Judy Ratner, and I am the superintendent of Berkeley Heights Public Schools. And those of you who have been to this meeting before know that this is my favorite evening of the year, because it's an opportunity for us to celebrate our Educators of the Year, and this year we're also celebrating our retiring teachers. So it's an evening filled with good memories, lots of excitement about wonderful things that are happening in the district and about the very, very special people who work here. I'm going to start by introducing two of our assistant principals in the district who actually have been responsible for overseeing the Educator of the Year selection process. So first, let me introduce Mrs. Tara Oliveira, the assistant principal here at Governor Livingston High School.
Thank you, Mrs. Ratner. Good evening. It is with great pleasure that Mrs. Acosta and I stand before you this evening. Would you like to join me, Mrs. Acosta? As educators, oh, there she is, assistant principal at CMS. As educators, we all look to inspire and to make a difference in the lives of children. We strive to establish a productive classroom climate and a rapport with students while keeping up with the most current trends and strategies that are the most effective for their learning. Tonight, we honor and celebrate educators who have made lasting impressions on the lives of the students, parents, and colleagues. In January, letters were sent and posted inviting parents, students, staff members, and community members to select nominees that they felt best exhibited the qualities of Educator of the Year. In nominating this year's candidates, we sought teachers who demonstrated highly effective engagements with their students, dedicated service to their school and community, and demonstrated significant commitment to their own professional growth as lifelong learners. Additionally, we, the administration, considered the evaluation piece and incorporated it into the process when choosing our recipients.
Based upon those nominations, the committee comprised of prior Educators of the Year, members of the PTO, and a board member met to complete a silent voting selection process. Ballots were counted, and our 2017-18 Educators of the Year were selected. In late March, Mrs. Ratner, armed with flowers and balloons, took to the schools to surprise this year's recipients. As she entered classrooms, curious students wanted to know why the superintendent was visiting with gifts. They soon learned that their teachers would be the ones who were awarded the distinct honor of the 17-18 Educator of the Year. Ms. Wasser-Berlin, Ms. Sheehan, Ms. Guerrero, Ms. Ligori, Ms. Roosh, and Ms. Hopkins, we thank you for your dedication to the students and families of Berkeley Heights, and tonight we celebrate you. Congratulations. Now I'd like to turn it back over to Mrs. Ratner.
Thank you to both of you for spearheading that process, and I would be remiss if I did not mention that Mrs. Oliveira is also the New Jersey Assistant Principal of the Year this year, so please give her a round of applause. This is one of those board responsibilities that I think Dr. Crisanino just jumps at as soon as I say that I need someone to serve on the selection committee. So it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Jerry Crisanino, who was the board representative on the Educator of the Year selection committee.
Good evening, everyone. I've been honored for the last several years to have represented my colleagues on the Board of Education on the Teacher of the Year committee, and I thank them for that opportunity. While the climate surrounding education, both on the state and federal level, recently has been somewhat controversial at best, we look beyond the rhetoric and conflicting positions and focus on the facts. And the facts are clear here in Berkeley Heights, that regardless of political positions, we have one of the premier educational systems in the state. Critics may cite our hardworking students, involved family members, supportive administrators as an explanation for our successes here in Berkeley Heights. And while that is arguably true in part, we know that without the dedication of hardworking, committed, and knowledgeable teachers and other staff members, we could have never reached the level of success we currently enjoy. So first, on behalf of the Board of Education, let me wish all of those who strive to educate our students a happy Teachers Appreciation Week. Today, additionally, we are here to honor 6 fine examples of instructional staff, knowing that they represent many of their fellow educators. These educators have gone above and beyond their daily duties, and it is our pleasure as a board to honor and recognize them here tonight. Thank you.
I would like to start off by reading a poem titled Teachers. It takes a special person to teach a child in class to just keep his or her attention in a world that moves so fast. To show a child she or he is unique with talents deep inside to help to build their confidence so they can beam with pride. To show a little patience for a child who's lost their way, to a child who feels abandoned, who has seen better days. To inspire and to motivate so a child can learn and grow, to go into this big wide world that has its highs and lows. You are the special people. You always give your best. And for every child who has been in your class, their life is truly blessed. So I want to start by recognizing our Educators of the Year. And we are going to start with the Mary K. McMillan Early Childhood Center Teacher of the Year, Miss Rachel Hopkins. Rachel, will you come up? Rachel Hopkins has been serving as a grade 1 teacher at Mary K. McMillan Early Childhood Center since September of 2013. She began her employment in Berkeley Heights just a few months after earning her Bachelor of Science degree in Mathematics Elementary Education from Ramapo College of New Jersey and completing her student teaching experience at the John F. Kennedy Primary School in Raritan. I remember the first time I met Rachel when I interviewed her for the position she currently holds, said Annie Corley Hand, principal of the Early Childhood Center. Poised and confident, I felt like I was speaking with a seasoned staff member rather than a recent college graduate and beginning teacher. She had me at, I like to use a station-based approach to math instruction. Along with a few of her other colleagues, Rachel has implemented an after-school enrichment program at Mary K. McMillan. She serves as a representative on the Elementary Math Curriculum Committee and Council on Instruction, and is a frequent participant in and volunteer at PTO family events. In addition, you may have witnessed her mad basketball moves at the annual Berkeley Heights Education Foundation basketball game. Rachel's classroom is an atmosphere of caring, encouragement, and collaboration. She puts her whole heart into teaching. When asked to describe Rachel, her colleagues used words such as creative, enthusiastic, dedicated, passionate, caring, innovative, resourceful, and determined. She was dubbed the Whiz Kid shortly after her arrival in our school and continues to be a shining star at the Early Childhood Center. It is my honor to present Ms. Rachel Hopkins as the Grade 1 teacher and also the Teacher of the Year for Mary K. McMillan Early Childhood Center. And I'd like to ask the PTO President, Dana Vandenbrand, to come on up to present a gift to Ms. Hopkins.
On behalf of the Mary Kay McMillan PTO, I am honored to present this award to Ms. Rachel Hopkins, a most devoted teacher. She's so deserving of this award. She has such commitment and enthusiasm, and she is just so excited to be in that classroom every day. And the kids love it, so congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We'll symbolically.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Ratner, Mr. McKinney, the members of the Board of Education, and Mrs. Corley for awarding me the honor of Mary Kay McMillan's Educator of the Year. I would also like to extend a special thank you to the parents, students, and my colleagues, past and present, for the overwhelming support, and to my family and friends for the continuous love. You may not, well, you've just heard, but you may not know what it looks like when an Educator of the Year finds out that they've won. But for me, it was a delayed opening, one of the many we've had this year. My first graders were unpacking, settling in, and of course, discussing whether we'd be able to play in the snow. Suddenly, Mrs. Ratner, Mr. McKinney, Mrs. Acosta, Mrs. Oliveira, and Mrs. Corley appeared in our doorway with balloons, flowers, and big smiles on their faces. Now, this is definitely not something that occurs daily in our classroom, and it's definitely something exciting for a group of 21 7-year-olds. After announcing that I've won this recognition, explaining what it is to the kids, and of course telling them that they have to be good as my present for the rest of the day, Mrs. Ratner told the class that I would be giving a speech. The students were excited for me, and even more excited that they got to pose in the picture that you saw with me. But once things had settled down and my surprise guests had left, one of my students came up to me and said, "You know, Miss Hopkins, I've been thinking about your speech. You should ask us all why we think you're Teacher of the Year, and you'll be able to tell us, everybody, what we think, and then we'll be in your speech." I chuckled a little, hearing that he's already thinking about my speech, and said, "That's a great idea." While I was really thinking, I don't know if I want to get up and talk about myself the whole time. But now thinking about it, the reasons my students feel I should be Teacher of the Year really aren't about me. It's about them, since it's because of them that I am a teacher. So that's what I did. I asked the students, "Why do you think I should be Teacher of the Year?" While the answers were fun to hear and touched my heart, they really just validated that I'm doing what I was meant to do. I'm here for my students, and my job is to help them be as successful as they can. One overwhelming answer was, "You are smart, help us learn math, reading, writing, science, and social studies, and you help us when we don't understand." These are the two most important reasons I'm a teacher. Watching a student grow and learn right before your eyes is so rewarding, especially in first grade, where the growth from September to June is so substantial. I love to watch each child develop into a student confident in their academic abilities. They feel, though, I am the one teaching them everything, but in fact, they show me how smart they are every single day through their endless curiosity, their spirit, and their determination to keep learning. They also said I was fun and funny. I would be lying if I said I was the funniest person in room 109. While we do have Funny Friday in our classroom, where I teach them a joke, mostly because the adults in my life don't think I'm funny, so a group of first graders do. The truth is, you wouldn't believe the things that come from the minds of 7-year-olds. I could write a book. The fact that they keep me laughing and smiling every day is half the reason I show up every morning. Finally, they told me, "You are sweet and kind," where in reality, it's the people around me that I find so welcoming. Since first stepping into this district 5 years ago, I have been blessed with students who enjoy learning, parents who work with me as partners, and colleagues who are unparalleled in talent and professionalism. The Berkeley Heights community is truly a special place to call home, and I am so grateful to be a part of it. Thank you all for sharing in this recognition with me and allowing me to do what I love. And since tomorrow is Friday, I'm going to leave you with a funny Friday joke. What did the students do when they got their shoelaces tied together? Carter's raising his hand.
They went on a class trip. Thank you again very much.
I don't know if you want help with that. You okay?
I would like to ask our Educator of the Year from Mountain Park School, Mrs. Michelle Guerrero, to join me up on stage. Michelle began her employment in the Berkeley Heights Public Schools in September of the year 2013 as a part-time teacher of special education at Mountain Park School. Her employment status was increased to full-time later that school year as she quickly made her mark as an enthusiastic and passionate educator in the elementary classroom. Mrs. Guerrero's young career as a special education teacher and first-rate co-teacher can best be described by quoting the old song, Hokey Pokey. She has put her whole self into every facet of life at Mountain Park School. That quote is not mine. That is Mr. Morriso, the school's principal. Michelle leaves an indelible mark on every student with whom she comes in contact. She receives praise from the parents of all students in the classroom setting. Prior to her arrival in Berkeley Heights, Mrs. Guerrero served as a paraprofessional and then as a leave replacement special education teacher in the school district of the Chathams for 5 years. Michelle also was employed as a realtor before finally deciding on teaching as a career. She earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in elementary ed, teacher of students with disabilities from Kean University. Mrs. Guerrero is also well known for her enthusiastic use of classroom technology and for working closely and effectively with general education instructors to create a true team teaching experience. Michelle works closely with her colleague, Mrs. Marie Pellegrini, to differentiate all instruction, promote cooperative learning, and infuse technology, as well as implement tried and true traditional strategies. She pursues opportunities for grants, which will enhance the educational experience for all the students in her classroom. Outside of the classroom, Michelle has shared her enthusiasm for music and dance with her students by offering Zumba and jazz dance lessons during lunch periods. In addition, Mrs. Guerrero has organized, choreographed, and instructed the Mountain Park dancers for their performances during the annual Berkeley Heights Education Foundation faculty event. It is my honor to present Mrs. Michelle Guerrero, teacher of special education, grade 4 at the Mountain Park School. Congratulations. And our PTO president from Mountain Park, Angie Devaney.
On behalf of the Mountain Park PTO, it is a tremendous honor because she is my daughter's teacher, and I know what kind of innovative, creative teacher that she is. I am inspired and in awe every time I do a classroom visit, so this is very well deserved. Congratulations, Mrs. Guerrero. Yes.
I'll hold it for you. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Got to put those glasses on. Thank you to the entire administration, members of the Board of Education, my Mountain Park family, friends, and my personal family. Thank you all for coming tonight, and also congratulations to my fellow Educator of the Year recipients. Wow, it is such an honor to be nominated and to be giving this speech among so many amazing teachers. From the time I was little, oh boy, here it comes. From the time I was little, I was always a dreamer. I dreamt I would grow up and become a teacher, a singer, a dancer, or even a distinguished choreographer. I remember when satin shorts and jackets were very popular, and my girlfriend and I would pedal our pink and white Schwinn bikes around our hometown in New Providence thinking, we're going to be discovered. Looking back, I'm not quite sure who was going to discover us and for what reason, but here's what I noticed about myself along the way. I can remember as a young girl, the last day of school was one of my favorites. No, not because summer vacation had arrived, but because I loved to go into the classroom garbage can and recover all the dittos that my teachers were throwing out. Back then, it's what we call now worksheets. And I would take those worksheets home, those treasures I found, and spend hours upon hours playing school in my bedroom with my stuffed animals as my students. Problem was, my plush toy, Pink Panther, my Buffy the Buffalo, never really quite behaved like the students I wanted them to be. But playing school in my bedroom turned into teaching baton twirling to my friends and at the New Providence Recreation Center. This love of twirling landed me, the only freshman that year, a spot on the high school twirling squad. Back then, New Providence football always played Governor Livingston on opening day. I remember performing on the GL field with the marching band. Who would have thought someday I would trade in my pioneer spirit for Go Highlanders? After graduating from high school, I went to business school, then pursued a career in corporate America. While working full-time, I did manage to teach dance and baton twirling at my cousin's dance studio in Summit. However, I never truly followed my dream to become a school teacher, famous singer, dancer, or even choreographer. In my 20s, which was really only about 15 years ago, don't tell my students though, I got married and had then 2 beautiful sons, 14 and a half months apart. It was through my own children that I learned important things about myself and found my true ambition. You see, my older son was diagnosed with autism when rates were only 1 out of 880 children, and my younger son was classified learning disabled when he entered kindergarten year. I was the mom that tried to leave no stone unturned. Auditory integration training, speech therapy on horseback, Orton Gillingham reading instruction, biofeedback, to name just a few. I learned a lot during those years, and I love to share my personal experiences whenever the opportunity arises. I also met many wonderful teachers my boys had along their journey and educators I have worked with in the past and present as I try to emulate their professional qualities. When my youngest son entered 6th grade, I decided to go to college and earn a degree in the field I was always destined to be in. Although I did not acquire fame and fortune as a singer, dancer, or choreographer, I believe co-teaching with Marie Pellegrini adds just the right amount of fame I could ever need. In the classroom, she allows me to sing, dance, and even share my Donny Osmond stories, but pulls me back when needed. You know, I met my childhood sweetheart, Donny Osmond, 2 years ago, but that's at least another 20-minute story that I can't go into right now because Marie, my husband, and Mr. Morriso are tired of hearing about it. But anyway, Marie and I are really a great team, and I believe our students truly benefit from our teamwork. We can finish each other's sentences and pick up the pieces when the other one forgets where they left off. We constantly discuss and relate concepts to real-life situations in the classroom, as well as including our family members into our 4th grade discussions, such as Augie, Nikki, Tony, Grandpa Stan, Mr. Guerrero, Baby Pete, Michael, Peter Fivretto, Graham Galatelli, Nanny, and even Mom and Pop-Pop. We also allow our students to see our mistakes and use the phrase, "It's okay to make mistakes because this is the place to fix them." We believe this helps our learners grow and develop their growth mindset and gain self-confidence. Since I had the wonderful opportunity to be in 4th grade the whole year, Sherry Butler, Marie, and myself had really grown together. We laughed with and at each other and created many memories this year I will always cherish. Thank you, Sherry. You will certainly be missed, and congratulations on your retirement. Berkeley Heights is an awesome district to teach in, and Mountain Park is truly a special place. The BHEF, Mountain Park PTO, the administration,
and the parents are very supportive. I like to thank my mother and father, Mom and Pop, for instilling in me my hard work ethic, my perseverance attitude, and my love of fashion. My best friend, Ramona, without her encouragement, I wouldn't have pursued my quest as a college student in my adulthood. To my husband, for listening to all my many stories, for always being there, and for finishing many family dinners as I come home late from tutoring. To my sons, Peter and Michael, for being my springboards. Without you, I wouldn't be giving this speech right now. To my director of special education, Michelle Gardner, thank you for calling me an hour after my demo lesson back in May of 2013 to tell me I got the job, and for providing the opportunity for Marie and I to co-teach all year together. To my principal, Mr. Morisseau, for allowing me to deliver instruction in a fun and creative way, allowing 4PG to have dancing brain breaks, which you have also participated in, and for putting up with Bayonne Betty and Maplewood Mary on a daily basis. To Marie Pellegrini, what more can I say? I wouldn't be the teacher I am without you providing the stage I can stand on. To my Mountain Park colleagues, in which many I have had the wonderful opportunity to co-teach with in previous years. Thank you for always sharing your craft and allowing me to grow in my profession. Of course, thank you to the staff and parents who nominated me as Educator of the Year. I was able to read all of your kind words, and each and every letter touched my heart. And last but not least, to my students, who are all members of my extended family. Without you, I wouldn't be here right now. Remember to always work hard, stay clean, believe in yourself, and never give up on a dream. My dream certainly came true through determination and dedication, and yours can too. William Arthur says it best: the mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, the great teacher inspires. On a daily basis, my desire is to be that teacher who inspires. I thank you all and humbly accept this distinguished recognition. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. I would like to invite Mrs. Lindsay Ligori to come on up. Lindsay is our Educator of the Year at Hughes School and is a grade 3 teacher. Lindsay started teaching in the Berkeley Heights Public Schools in September 2006 when she was hired as a grade 2 teacher at Hughes School. Mrs. Ligori had a head start in the district, though, as she completed her student teaching experience at Mary K. McMillan Early Childhood Center the prior spring. She has taught in grades 2, 3, and 4 during her time at Hughes School, moving back to 3rd grade at the start of the current school year. I am so proud to have Mrs. Ligori representing Hughes School as the Educator of the Year, said Jessica Norty, the school's principal. She is a meticulous planner who has the innate ability to develop unique, engaging, and differentiated lessons daily. And she delivers it all with the kindness, warmth, and unending patience that make her classroom an exceptional learning environment. I truly admire her ability to connect with her students and to foster their love of learning. Lindsay earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in History from Rutgers State University and received her Master of Arts degree in Early Childhood Education from the College of St. Elizabeth. Mrs. Ligori is known for her commitment to making learning accessible to all students and for being a strong voice for the children in her classes. She has also been praised as an effective and consistent communicator who had been commended frequently by parents for her efforts in this area. Outside of the classroom, Mrs. Ligori has served as a computer club advisor and yearbook advisor, in addition to being a member of the district's K-5 Council on Instruction. Language Arts Committee, and Spelling Committee. Lindsay also has been an active participant in the annual Berkeley Heights Education Foundation basketball game. It is my honor to present Ms. Lindsay Liguori as the Hughes Educator of the Year. And to introduce Ms. Karen Polizzi as the PTO President.
Thank you, Mrs. Ratner. On behalf of the Hughes PTO, I am honored to congratulate you, Mrs. Liguori, on a well-deserved award. Mrs. Liguori is an outstanding teacher who encourages and challenges her students every day while creating a supportive and caring learning environment in her classroom. She brings innovation to her classroom and always brings out the best in her students. She sets an example of excellence among her students and coworkers alike. We are so lucky to have you as part of our Hughes family. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Ratner, Mr. McKinney, Mrs. Nardi, and the members of the Board of Education. I am so grateful for this amazing honor. I'm so appreciative of all the opportunities that Berkeley Heights has provided for me. It's particularly special that my father, who's here, went to Hughes School back when it was called the Berkeley School, and continued to graduate from here from Governor Livingston. It is with much excitement when I was in graduate school working towards my certification that I received the placement in student teaching at the Hamilton Terrace, now the Mary Kay McMillan School. At Mary Kay McMillan, I had the pleasure of working with Michelle Liss and the opportunity of receiving direction from Mrs. McMillan. I was even more excited to be able to be offered the second grade position at Hughes School. I know just how fortunate I am to be able to work in such an amazing school. Through the many different grades I have taught, I've had the distinct pleasure to work with so many wonderful teachers. Every colleague has taught me something that has helped continue to shape me into the teacher that I am today. I'm grateful for each of you and for all the support you have given me both professionally and personally. I look forward to many more years of working with you in this amazing district. I'm also grateful for the love and support of my family, my husband, my daughters Kaylee and Ashley, my parents, and my in-laws. Not only have they supported and encouraged me as I grew up through my education, my graduate studies, but they also continue to support me as a working mother. Finally, to my students, both present and past, I've enjoyed and appreciated teaching you, and you, in turn, have taught me more than you could ever imagine. Thank you again for this great honor.
I'd like to ask Mrs. Debbie Roosh to come up and join me. Debbie is the Educator of the Year at Woodruff. She is the school nurse and the teacher of health. After serving as a registered nurse in hospital settings for over 14 years, Debbie began her career in education as a school nurse and teacher of family life health education at Columbia Middle School in September of 1989. She worked at the middle school for 10 years before moving to her current position at Woodruff School at the start of the 99-2000 school year. Mrs. Roosh is an extremely knowledgeable and caring nurse and teacher who is able to handle any situation presented with a gentle calm that puts everyone at ease, explained Ms. Gasparini, principal of Woodruff School. She intuitively knows how to read a situation and determine if she's dealing with a health issue or a student who just needs a sympathetic ear to listen. She respectfully supports all students and staff members and gets them up and moving. Debbie earned her Bachelor of Science degree in nursing from Rutgers, the state university, and she completed her school nurse certification coursework through the College of New Jersey. Mrs. Roosh also earned a Master of Arts degree in education from Seton Hall University. At Woodruff School, she has been commended for her thorough commitment and preparation, especially in the way that she keeps staff members informed about the specific health-related needs of her students prior to the beginning of the school year. Outside of the classroom and health office, Debbie has served as a faculty advisor to the Social Decision-Making Club, as a workshop presenter for her colleagues, and as a cooperating teacher for an aspiring school nurse. Mrs. Rush's expertise in nursing is transformed as she plans and creates activities to deliver the health curriculum. She possesses the talents and skills of a seasoned classroom teacher, coupled with a level of energy and enthusiasm that gets all of her students excited, talking, and thinking. Her boundless energy and interesting stories, there are a few of those, enable her to connect with her students, allowing her classroom lessons to create a lasting impression. The Woodruff Educator of the Year, Mrs. Debbie Rush, and it is my honor to introduce Michelle O'Rourke, President of the PTO.
Thank you, Mrs. Ratner. On behalf of the Woodruff PTO, I would like to thank you, Mrs. Rush. You are literally a lifeline for us at Woodruff between all of the allergies, all of the serious health issues that you deal with day in, day out, however big and small. I know personally I was there today to pick up a sick child. So you're helping us navigate through everything. And I would just like to personally thank you for literally helping my family through what could have been a very rough time. And I know that you have impacted my daughter and my family, and I just want to thank you for that. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Good evening. Thank you, Mrs. Ratner, Mrs. O'Rourke, and the Board of Education for this wonderful recognition. I recently read an article from the New Jersey State School Nurses Association titled, "No Nurse is an Island." And in it, the author, Jacqueline Vance, explores this idea of, well, what makes a school nurse successful anyway? Her conclusion is that the successful nurse is part of something far greater than herself. She is part of a team. I think the same thing is true for educators. We need each other. No one can do this on his or her own without the help and support of others. Tonight, I would just like to acknowledge and say thank you to a few of the many people who have helped and supported me in my roles as school nurse and health teacher. A very special thank you to Lynn Vassell, Tracy Lowenstein, Patty Gasparini, Emily Long, and my very first mentor at Columbia Middle School, Mary Ann Confroy. I would not be here tonight without you. To my fellow recipients, congratulations. Thank you, everyone, and have a lovely evening. Thank you.
Mrs. Joanne Sheehan, teacher of physical education and health. You don't have to run, it's not class, phys ed class. It's okay. Joanne Sheehan began her employment in the Berkeley Heights Public Schools in September of 1996 as a part-time teacher of physical education at Thomas P. Hughes School. She moved on to Columbia Middle School 2 years later, became a full-time teacher in 2000, and has provided instruction in physical education, health, and adaptive PE at the middle school level ever since. Mrs. Sheehan is well thought of by the entire school community, explained Columbia Principal Frank Geiger. If it is shared with Joanne that a student is in need of additional care, Mrs. Sheehan not only takes that child under her wing, she will continue to update the teaching team on the child's progress long after the initial conversation. Joanne earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in physical education from Queens College of the City University of New York, and she earned her Master of Arts degree in health education from Adelphi University. As an undergraduate, Mrs. Sheehan played 3 years of varsity basketball during an era when Queens College was a national powerhouse in the sport. She taught physical education and health at several private schools in New York and New Jersey for a total of 18 years before her arrival in Berkeley Heights. A high-energy, well-organized teacher who was dynamic with her presentation of lessons to her students, Mrs. Sheehan has also served as an intramural basketball coach, intramural gymnastics coach, cheerleader coach, and lunchroom supervisor during her many years at Columbia Middle School. Joanne teaches physical education by taking a holistic approach, focusing on a child's social and emotional well-being. The lessons learned by her students during their middle school experience are long-lasting. It's my honor to present Mrs. Joanne Sheehan, Teacher of Physical Education and Health for the Columbia Middle School Educator of the Year Award. And I'd like to introduce Mrs. Elizabeth Kane, PTO President at Columbia.
Always with a warm smile and a kind word, Mrs. Sheehan is a ray of sunshine at Columbia. She has enriched so many students' lives, giving them self-confidence, boosting their self-esteem, and improving their physical capabilities in ways they didn't know possible. On behalf of the Columbia Middle School PTO, I am proud to congratulate Mrs. Sheehan for being honored as our Educator of the Year. Still two.
And you can just,
I will hold you close.
thank you. First and foremost, I would like to thank Mrs. Ratner, Mr. McKinney, Mr. Geiger, Ms. Acosta, Ms. Clifton, and all the administrators for your support throughout the years. I would also like to thank the Board of Ed and my CMS family. In particular, I would like to acknowledge my coworker, Kelly Hill, who I basically spend almost every day with from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. We've been known to finish each other's sentences and on occasion wear the same exact outfit. My job is so much easier because we work together so well. I would not be standing up here if that were not the case. So thank you, Kelly. Last but certainly not least, I would like to thank my own family. Your love and sense of humor are appreciated more than you know. My 3 sons are here with my husband. When I was 11 or 12 years old, I fell down a flight of stairs and landed on my head. I know that explains things. I am sure that it made quite the racket. As the stairs were made of marble, my books went flying, and I immediately yelled out in pain. We lived on the 4th floor of a walk-up apartment building in the Bronx. Doors began opening, neighbors were checking to see what all the commotion was and if I was okay. Why am I telling you this? Because this fall was an early indicator of my priorities in life. And as it turns out, they did not change much. My mother insisted that I go back upstairs and she would keep me home from school. I cried even louder. You see, I loved school and I loved learning, but that wasn't the reason I was crying. We only had gym class 1 day a week. That was my gym class day, and I was not going to miss it. Mom and I came to a compromise. She would take me to the doctor. If he said that I was okay, she would take me to school. Well, concussion protocol in the 60s was nothing like it is today. Basically, he took a little flashlight, looked at my pupils, asked me what day of the week it was, and off to school I went. As I got older, my love for physical activity continued, and I decided to become a phys ed teacher. I spent 6 years working at an all-girls high school in the Bronx, and the next 12 working part-time in schools in New Jersey while I raised my 3 sons. One day, the phone rang, and it was Patty Gasparini, who I had met playing on a softball team many years before. She wanted to let me know there was an opening in her district and that she thought that I should apply. I did, and it was one of the best decisions I've ever made. I've been in this district teaching health and phys ed for the past 22 years. The Columbia Middle School community is amazing. I know for a fact that there are Employee of the Year moments every day in just about every classroom and office in the building. Personally, I try to make phys ed classes fun as well as challenging. I always hope that my passion for staying active and healthy will rub off on my students. I also have to thank my students for helping to keep me young at heart, with a sense of humor, playing their music, and following their extracurricular activities. I now know pretty much every song by Justin Bieber, One Direction, and Taylor Swift. I also know that when the 8th graders request a rap song, most of the time I cannot legally play it in school. I feel very lucky to be teaching a curriculum that I not only love, but that includes students who are not able to attend other gen ed classes. Getting to know the ABA and other special needs students has enriched my life in many ways, and hopefully has enriched theirs as well. I am proud to be a part of this community where value is placed not only on the major academic areas, but also on phys ed, where students can de-stress and decompress, and where it might be easier to pinpoint a child who's struggling socially or otherwise. As a result, I have a very close relationship with the wonderful guidance counselors at CMS. To quote an anonymous Facebook poster, I know, to make a difference in someone's life, you don't have to be brilliant, rich, beautiful, or perfect. You just have to care. It's nice to know that I've made a difference. Thank you.
I'd like to ask Mrs. Lisa Wasser-Berlin, Teacher of Special Education and Social Studies at Governor Livingston High School, to join me as the Educator of the Year from GL. Lisa started teaching in the Berkeley Heights Public Schools in March of 2008, after having served as a teacher of special education and history in the Bloomfield Public Schools for 4 years. In addition to her teaching career, Lisa has nearly 25 years of private sector marketing and managing experience. Lisa is an extremely valuable part of the Governor Livingston family, shared Rob Nixon, the school's principal. She's an extremely caring individual who works tirelessly to help her students succeed. Understanding that her students have special needs, Lisa communicates with parents so as to ensure that they are a part of the educational process. Her efforts do not end there, however, as she treats all students as if they are her own. Mrs. Wasser-Berlin earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in history from Arcadia University, and she completed her teacher certification coursework through New Jersey City University. She is known as a professional who maintains high expectations for students in her contemporary America and American Studies classes, and she balances these demands by consistently incorporating strategies and supports that are individualized to meet the specific needs of each student in both the in-class support and resource center settings. Outside of the classroom, Lisa has served the school community as a member of the GL Site Council, Honor Code Committee, Faculty Council for the National Honor Society, and freshman parent orientation staff. Mrs. Wasser-Berlin also has displayed her love for teaching history in her second job as a ranger guide at the Thomas A. Edison Historical Park in West Orange. Lisa's level-headedness and understanding nature are greatly appreciated by teachers and administrators alike. It is truly a pleasure to have her as a colleague. The Educator of the Year for Governor Livingston, Mrs. Lisa Wasser-Berlin. And it's a pleasure to introduce the PTO President, John Foster.
Thank you, Mr. Radner. I saw Miss Wasser-Berlin today. I told her I could write a book about her, and I was going to talk about it up here, but it's very simple. You're the best. Congratulations from the GLPTO.
I need these too. 10 years ago, I made an unusual decision for a teacher and switched schools in the middle of the year, leaving behind an 8-minute commute and the security of tenure. To attempt to smoothly transition mid-year amid different protocols and procedures, even with administrative support, was intimidating. Here at Governor Livingston, I also had to contend with the drop block schedule, which made absolutely no sense, figure out accommodations, and plan lessons for a course I had never taught. Oh, and no one assigned me a parking spot. So I spent a week parking in multiple wrong spots, which did not endear me to my new coworkers. By the end of that first week, I was totally overwhelmed, went home literally getting into bed and pulling the covers over my head. Despite everything, it soon became apparent that making a move to this new school was a really good decision. Of all my jobs, and I've done some pretty interesting ones, including working for Colgate-Palmolive, BBDO, and in nonprofit healthcare, the job that is the most meaningful, gives me the greatest sense of accomplishment and pride is teaching, and doing that teaching here in Berkeley Heights. Friends in other districts complain and marvel that I don't. But here's the thing, at GL, we are a community and we help each other. That message was clear from the start and has carried through to this very day. It is not an us versus you, but a let's work together and figure this out. It's how can we help you do your job better, or a supervisor stopping in just to see how you're doing. It's colleagues staying after school to help with the software program, sharing lessons that have worked or not, advice on a better way to teach that new unit. From a lot of previous experience, this does not happen everywhere. It is one of the ways GL is special, and it is the reason we serve our students so well. Teachers are not always viewed in the best light today, but look at the great staff we have at GL who go above and beyond. I am continually amazed at the dedication and level of instruction that my colleagues provide. The hours put into creating or improving lessons, the extra help that many of us provide early in the morning or during lunch, the clubs and activities that are run as volunteer efforts. As a parent and a teacher, I know that this is not always the case. It makes this honor much more significant because there are so many committed and effective teachers at GL. We live in a crazy upside-down world, and what we do as educators has never been more critical. For me, as a special education social studies teacher, this means to describe the structure of our government, to show how to determine reliable sources, to explain the how and the why of the past so we can better comprehend the future. Communication is a vital skill, regardless of your course of study or your career. Being able to express yourself clearly in verbal or written form has never been more important. Helping me do this job are an exceptional group of people. I am standing here today because of all of them, so some deep felt thanks are in order. To Mrs. Ratner and the Board of Education for your consistent support. To Rob Nixon, Tara Oliveira, Larry Seid, and AJ Janesco, to Michelle Gardner, Kevin Mora, and Steve Hopkins for all your never-ending encouragement. To all my cooperating teachers through these past 10 years who put up with me. To our child study team, school nurse, and guidance, you are all more than wonderful. To Scott McKinney, who, when principal of GL, had my back during a challenging few months. Words will never be able to express all my appreciation. To my students, past and current, who make me laugh and teach me something every day, and to those students and parents who nominated me for Teacher of the Year, I'm very grateful. To Linda Melchiori, an unfamiliar name here, but who 15 years ago gave me an opportunity. Last, but far from least, to my husband Michael and my daughters Julia and Anna, I know every day how fortunate I am to have you. Thank you very much.
We're going to transition to the next part of the program, which is on the retirees. But what a great, just the stories of our 6 Educators of the Year, the passion that they have in the classroom, the passion they have for what they do, the support they get from their families is just tremendous. We have another distinguished educator tonight who's here. This is a person who typically starts out every one of our board meetings, and it is our current superintendent, who usually is acknowledging the different awards that our students get, that our staff gets, that our administrators get, and really shows just an unbelievable amount of support for everybody in the Berkeley Heights community. Well, just this past week, Judy Ratner was awarded the Distinguished Educator Award from the New Jersey Council of Education. This is a This is a 100-plus-year-old organization that looks at educators both at the elementary, middle, and high school, as well at the college level, and looks for leadership demonstrated by going outside of the district, so presenting at state and national conventions, leading workshops. And I can tell you firsthand, I know how much time Judy spends dedicated to the students in our district, and when she's outside of the district, how much she's bringing back when she goes to conventions or she speaks in Atlantic City. And when there is a need in the state for someone to work on a task force, it is often Judy's phone that rings and is asked to do a number of these additional responsibilities. So we are extremely proud and extremely lucky to have a superintendent like her. So I didn't want to let tonight go by without looking at distinguished educators without acknowledging our superintendent. So thank you very much, Judy. Congratulations.
So I just want to wrap up our Educators of the Year by saying knowledge is like climbing a mountain. The higher you reach, the more you can see and appreciate. I want to thank all our Educators of the Year for leading the way. Thank you once again. Can we give them one more round of applause? So as we begin to recognize our retirees, Mr. Scott McKinney, the Assistant Superintendent, will be helping me to acknowledge our retirees. And I'd like to start this portion of our program with a quote from Nikos Kazantzakis. True teachers are those who use themselves as bridges over which they invite their students to cross. Then, having facilitated their crossing, joyfully collapse, encouraging them to create their own. Tonight, we will be recognizing 18 of our educators and support staff members who will be retiring and have the opportunity to move on and continue to enjoy, hopefully, and relish all that they have done to support our students and help all of our students learn and grow and become better people. So I'd like to start with Miss Sally Barmakian, who is a Woodruff Elementary School grade 2 teacher. Sally Barmakian was first employed in Berkeley Heights in September of 1995 as a grade 5 teacher at Hughes School. She moved over to second grade teaching at William Woodruff School the following September. She taught third and fourth grade the next 2 school years and returned to grade 2 at Woodruff for good in September of 1999. Before coming to Berkeley Heights, Ms. Barmakian taught in the Dunellen School District for 7 years, the Summit Public Schools for 3 years, and the Florham Park School District for 1 year. She earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in elementary education from Rider University, and she received her Master of Arts degree in education from Seton Hall University. She was honored as Woodruff Schools Teacher of the Year for the 2001-2002 school year. Ms. Barmakian has been the Student Council Advisor and Writing Club Advisor at Woodruff, in addition to serving as a Family Science instructor and as a volunteer coordinator of the Green Team and Knitting Club at the school. She's also taught in the district summer school for several years. Ms. Barmakian is an educator who puts her heart and soul into teaching the lessons in the books and the lessons that shape a child's life, said Principal Patricia Gasparini. Her love of reading defined her success as a second grade teacher. She was always on the lookout for a new book for her overwhelming classroom library, overflowing classroom library. Sally relished, I guess it could be overwhelming at times too. Sally relished the time to share her reading treasures with her students during the daily read aloud time. It is that same level of passion that moved her as an advisor to clubs and activities at Woodruff. Teaching character was always important to Sally, and she always wanted her students to work well together, look to help others in need, show school pride, and make this world a better place. Ms. Barmakian achieved just that through her leadership and her influence on the school that will last for years to come. We wish you much success, health, and happiness in your retirement, Sally.
Thank you to Mrs. Ratner, Mr. McKinney, and the Board of Education for this recognition as I retire from teaching. I have taught for 33 years, 23 of which was in Berkeley Heights. When I started teaching in the 70s, I had to use the ditto machine to make copies of worksheets and relied heavily on the chalkboard. After progressing to a dry erase board, I now use a Promethean board, iPads, a document camera, and a Xerox machine. Before I got my Promethean board, I was using an overhead projector. My new second grade class, which only knew Promethean boards, was very intrigued, and they asked me, "What is this machine and what does it do?" They were fascinated with this machine, which quickly became a dinosaur in technology. Throughout my teaching career, I have taught second, third, fourth, and fifth grades, as well as basic skills. In each grade, my goal was to encourage students to be lifelong readers, to learn enough math to use it in everyday life, to be able to express ideas in writing, to explore the many areas of science, and to learn the history of the world. Music and art were the creative attributes. I did yoga with my class daily and taught many students how to knit and crochet. In addition to academics, I truly value the development of good character. On a daily basis, I modeled and encouraged respect for others, honesty, politeness, kindness, and empathy for others. I served as a student council advisor for 22 years, and fostered many community outreach programs and charities, which I hope will continue. Volunteering continues to be an important part of my life outside of school, and I'm now volunteering at hospitals. I appreciate this honor, and I remember the wonderful years with colleagues and students in this excellent district. Thank you very much.
I'd like to invite Ms. Diana Biorgi, art teacher at William Woodruff and Mary Kay McMillan School, to join me. Diana Biorgi started her career in Berkeley Heights in September 2002 as a part-time teacher of art at the Early Childhood Center at Hamilton Terrace School. 2 years later, she became full-time and started teaching at William Woodruff School as well as the Early Childhood Center. Prior to her arrival in our district, Mrs. Biorgi taught in public schools in New York and Massachusetts, and then in a private preschool for a total of 7 years. She also worked in the fields of design, merchandising, and sales for many years. Diana earned a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in art education from Syracuse University, in addition to a Master of Arts degree in early childhood education from Kean University. Mrs. Biorgi was honored as the 2012-2013 Teacher of the Year at Woodruff School. Mrs. Biorgi is a talented, eclectic teacher who has been able to bring her wealth of life experiences to the classroom, explained Patricia Gasparini, principal of William Woodruff School. She opens her students' eyes so they can see, appreciate, and interpret art. Her ever-changing lessons, array of mediums, appreciation of the great artists, ability to teach theory, and desire to promote the students' work has been unparalleled. For Diana, teaching art was never about doing it perfectly, but rather an expression of oneself. These expressions are beautifully displayed at Woodruff School in every hallway, display case, drama production, concert, and throughout our school garden. Mrs. Biorgi has been Woodruff's Renaissance artist, environmentalist, patron of the arts, devoted educator, and team player. Congratulations and thank you.
I feel very happy to be up here, and the speeches have been great. Anyway, for the past 16 years, I've looked forward to coming to school almost every day, being greeted by children, listening to their excitement, and watching their faces when a concept takes hold. It has been gratifying, and fortunately, I frequently run into past students that are now in their 20s, and they tell me about projects that still grace their bedroom walls and their shelves. The administration, teachers, staff, and parents here have supported me with their time, their ideas, and their conversation. There's always challenging times and security, but I've always had colleagues to be able to turn to. I'm looking forward to my next chapter, and there's a few things that I will be happy to leave behind. I hate lesson plans anytime. Sleepless nights worrying about whether a project or a concept will go as I've intended it, and fighting with technology, for which I have little patience or aptitude. On a good note, I'm not leaving town, so I'll still get to be around and visit with you. Once I catch up on my own garden, I plan on still working with children, making my own art, and traveling without time restrictions. I want to give a special thank you to my husband and friend for his help and support in so many school projects, special events, and in the garden. With the eyes of an artist, a gentle and overflowing heart, and the wisdom of a sage, he is the person I love and trust the most. Thank you, John. Thank you, Mrs. Ratner, Miss Gasparini, Annie Corley, my colleagues, students, and friends. It has been a wonderful ride. Thank you.
You're very welcome. You want your gift?
Oh, thank you.
I would be remiss if I didn't share with everybody that the retirees are getting plaques, actually that the BHPTO purchased for them, and then the Board of Education is also giving them a gift. I would like to ask Mrs. Sherry Butler to come on join me up here on the stage. Mrs. Sherry Butler began teaching in Berkeley Heights in September of 1977 when she was hired to fill a second grade position at Berkeley, now Thomas P. Hughes School. She moved over to Hamilton Terrace School 2 years later and then settled in at Mountain Park School in 1981. Mrs. Butler was assigned to her current level, grade 4, beginning in 1986. She earned her Bachelor of Science degree in Education from Temple University, and she taught in the Watchung Borough School District for 4 years prior to her arrival in Berkeley Heights. Sherry was recognized as Mountain Park School's Teacher of the Year for 2003-2004. Mrs. Butler has served as a writing club advisor at Mountain Park and as an active member of the K-5 Math Curriculum Committee, Principals Advisory Committee, and Differentiated Supervision Committee, in addition to being a summer school teacher. Sherry's reign as a teacher in the Berkeley Heights Public Schools has spanned the ears of several principals and superintendents, not to mention the numerous parent-child combinations who have enjoyed the experience of having Mrs. B as their 4th grade teacher. Mr. Morriso shared that information with us. Mrs. Butler's eager willingness to learn and grow from year to year, decade to decade, was always evidenced as she transitioned seamlessly from Cornhusk dolls to Google Classroom, from Colonial Day to Community Service Day, and from overhead projectors to Promethean boards and document cameras. We are not sure what will happen in the future when Mountain Park staff members have been told to go ask Sherry, but we'll have to figure it out. Sherry, we wish you much happiness, love, and enjoyment in your retirement. Thank you for all you've done for the students here.
Well, I'd like to say thank you to all the people that I've worked with over all these years. From Mrs. Ratner to the Board of Education, administrators, teachers, parents, children, and everyone who came here tonight. I consider myself very lucky. I found something that I love to do, and I've been doing it for the past 41 years. I always promised myself that when it came my time to retire, my speech would be short and sweet and maybe a bit funny. So here it goes. Sherry Butler is my name. 41 years is my claim to fame. A teacher I was born to be, and Berkeley Heights is the place for me. The kids are great, the teachers are cool, and Mr. M runs an awesome school. With reading and writing and math too, seems like there's always more and more to do. Report cards, the park, PLC. Soon these things will have no significance to me. For my time has come to retire, relax, put my feet up, and sit by the fire. And in a while, if someone might ask, Sherry Butler, what grade did she teach? Just say, I don't know, but she wrote a poem for her retirement speech. Thank you.
Our next teacher is Mrs. Phyllis Hughes, who had intended on being here, but unfortunately had to change her plans last minute. She is a teacher of family and consumer sciences at Governor Livingston. She started here in 2004 and served 13 years after as a second career. So let's just give her a round of applause.
Mrs. Doreen Ladinsky, would you please join me? Doreen is retiring from Governor Livingston High School in the Berkeley Heights school system as a teacher of English. Doreen started working in the Berkeley Heights Public Schools as a teacher of English at GL in March of 2001. Prior to her arrival at GL, she worked as a writing instructor at Montclair State University for 3 years and as an English teacher at Elizabeth High School for nearly 2 years. Doreen had also served as a teaching assistant in composition, critical reading, and writing at Fordham University. Mrs. Ladinsky earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in English from Kean University and received her Master of Arts degree in English from Montclair State. Doreen was honored as the Teacher of the Year at Governor Livingston for the 2010-2011 school year. Outside of the classroom, Mrs. Ladinsky has served for many years as the faculty advisor to the Highlander, GL student newspaper, and as the co-advisor to the Interact Club and the Quill and Scroll Journalism Honor Society. She has also been a member of the Council on Instruction and Site Council and has served as a workshop presenter for her colleagues as a mentor to novice teachers. In addition to her role as newspaper advisor, Doreen has written media releases, publicizing school events and student achievements, and assisted staff members with publicity efforts over the years. Mrs. Ladinsky has taught AP English 4, along with journalism and public speaking at GL, noted GL principal Rob Nixon. Her students have enjoyed great, consistent success on AP tests over the years, and they frequently report back that they felt very prepared to write on the college level as a result of their experiences in her class. Thanks to Doreen's guidance, the school newspaper has evolved from a print-only publication to one that is now digital with video news stories to supplement the printed text. Her retirement will certainly leave big shoes to fill in the Governor Livingston English Department. Doreen, we wish you continued happiness, good health, and enjoy your retirement.
I really only have a few prepared remarks. I really simply want to say thank you. Thank you to Judy Ratner, who sat in on my teaching demo and actually hired me 18 years ago. And although she is happily retired and no longer here, I would be remiss if I did not thank Kitty Venditti, who some of you may remember, for her, my former supervisor, for her unflagging support those first few years. She was a great mentor and friend. And my current supervisor, Lori Scott, who has been equally supportive and whose friendship I value very much. Thank you to Scott and Rob and Tara and Larry, and to all the administrators and teachers who have worked with me side by side over the years. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, thank you to all the students who have graced my classroom these past years. They truly have been the highlight of my career. Thank you very much. Thank you, Scott.
Mrs. Kathleen Locatelli, can you join us? Cassie Locatelli was first employed in Berkeley Heights in September of 2008 as an in-class support resource room teacher at William Woodruff School. She had served as a teaching assistant in the Madison Public Schools during the previous year, returning to the field of education after having served as the co-owner of a family business for over 15 years. Mrs. Locatelli earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in Special Education and Elementary Education from Wittenberg University. She worked as a teacher of special education in Stonington, Connecticut, and in Walnut Creek, California during the years immediately following her college graduation. Mrs. Locatelli is a compassionate, easygoing, and caring teacher who understands the importance of believing in oneself, explained Patricia Gasparini, principal of William Woodruff School. Her dedication to her students is readily seen as she interacts with them, develops individual lessons that tap into the students' interests and strengths while providing them with the skills and strategies to help them grow. Mrs. Locatelli has served as the writing club advisor at Woodruff in addition to volunteering her time to assist with the school's garden club, Happy Feet Club, and knitting club. She has also served as a member of the faculty advisory committee and as a summer school teacher. For Cassie, each day has been a new opportunity to move down the tracks in search of new successes, Ms. Gasparini added. Not a day passes when Mrs. Locatelli doesn't have a smile to share, hope to give, time for her students, and a desire to personally learn and grow to better help her students. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. Mrs. Ratner, Mr. McKinney, Board of Education, my friends and colleagues who are here. I mainly feel very grateful to be standing up here tonight. As you heard, my teaching career began in 1977. That's over 40 years ago. I have 16 years of teaching. It's a pretty big gap, so where's the rest of that time? Well, I took a 29-year leave of absence. And when I was ready to come back, I sent out 3 letters, and one ended up on Patty Gasparini's desk. And the rest is history. So thank you, Patty. You took a chance on me, gave me the opportunity to be a teacher again. My 10 years at Woodruff have been so rewarding in many, many ways. I work with excellent teachers and paras, and my kids. My kids are exceptional. I have learned so much from them, and that's what I will miss most of all, just working with these super kids. So I look forward to my next chapter in life, but I will always look back fondly at my years in Berkeley Heights. Thank you very much.
Ms. Terry McCutcheon, would you please join me? Ms. McCutcheon is a grade 2 teacher at Mountain Park School, and shortly after earning her Bachelor of Arts degree in elementary education, special education from the College of St. Elizabeth in May of 1978, Terry was called upon to serve as a longtime substitute teacher in a resource room class at Columbia School. Her principal was impressed by the job she did in this assignment, so much so that she was offered a full-time job the following school year. Ms. McCutcheon was employed as a teacher of special education at Columbia for the next 13 years, during which time she earned her Master of Arts degree in special education from Kean University. She moved over to Mountain Park School in 1991. Terry also taught at Hughes and at the Early Childhood Center at Hamilton Terrace School during the late 90s and early 2000s. In September 2002, Ms. McCutcheon started on a new journey as a general education classroom teacher at Mountain Park, where she has taught 4th, 3rd, and 2nd grades in the years since. She was recognized as the Teacher of the Year at Mountain Park School for the 98-99 school year. During the course of her career in Berkeley Heights, Terry has served as student government advisor, social decision-making advisor, and as a summer school teacher. In addition, she has been an active member of the Principal's Advisory Committee, Social Studies Curriculum Committee, and District Liaison Committee. Every student who has had Terry as a teacher over the course of the past 4 decades has come away with a wide range of knowledge on so many topics, shared John Morrisseau, principal. These students certainly remember Ms. McCutcheon's love of all kinds of animals and her ability to infuse her knowledge and love of critters into her reading, science, and writing lessons, and that has enriched the lives of hundreds of children. I am confident that there are scores of dog owners and maybe even a few veterinarians among her former students. Through the years and still today, Terry provides a supportive, student-centered, and differentiated learning environment for all of her students. Her commitment to all children in her classes and diligence in communicating with parents about student progress and classroom activities have been consistent throughout her career. Congratulations and best wishes in your retirement, Terry.
As I stand here before you, I think back to 40 years ago. I had just finished my student teaching in New Providence. I was recommended for the job of a permanent substitute special education teacher in Berkeley Heights for the remainder of the school year. My teaching career had begun, and my official college graduation ceremony hadn't even taken place yet. That occurred the weekend after I started teaching. So here it is, 40 years later, and I am about to retire. I would like to thank Mrs. Ratner, Mr. McKinney, members of the Board of Education, Mr. Morisseau and the rest of the administration, fellow teachers, staff, and friends for their support. I have had a rewarding and enjoyable career with 24 years as a special education teacher and 16 years as a regular education teacher in grade 4, then 3, and now 2. It has been a privilege and pleasure to educate the children of Berkeley Heights. They say that teachers nurture the seeds of today so they might bloom into the flowers of tomorrow. Hopefully, there is a large garden of flowers growing out there. When I told my students that I was retiring and that I was then going to work with animals, meaning dogs and maybe cats, one child told his mother that I was going to work in a zoo. That wasn't quite what I had in mind. However, that simply shows how the mind of a child can work. I cherish and appreciate all of the young minds that I've seen throughout the years. They have touched my heart in many ways. Thank you. Sorry. Thank you.
Ms. Carol Regal, can you join us up here, please? Carol Regal's retirement at the end of this school year marks the end of her remarkable 46-year association with Governor Livingston High School. Ms. Regal earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology from the Pennsylvania State University, and she received her Master of Arts degree in behavioral sciences and a professional diploma in school psychology from Kean University. Carol began her career in education as a teacher of social studies at Plainfield High School for 4 years. She was then hired as a full-time psychology extern by the Union County Regional High School District on February 1st, 1971, and assigned to David Burley High School in Kenilworth. Ms. Regal became a full-time school psychologist the following fall, and she joined the staff at Governor Livingston Regional High School in September 1972. She also assisted with various child study team assignments at the other Union County Regional High School schools until 1997. Carol has been commended over the years for her strong knowledge of adolescent development and her thorough understanding of regulations and policies regarding the provision of special education and related services. Her supervisors have also noted her comprehensive yet concise evaluations and reports, which clearly identify the needs of the students. An active member of the New Jersey Association of School Psychologists, as well as the New Jersey Psychological Association, Ms. Regal has served as a key member of the GL Crisis Planning Committee, Crisis Response Team, and Core Team. It will be difficult to replace our most experienced staff member, said Robert Nixon, principal of Governor Livingston. Over the years, Carol has worked closely with the administration to assist with some of our most challenging student situations in a very professional manner. She has always displayed a great feel for a student's emotional state and has made sound recommendations on the student's behalf. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you so much. In my very, very long career, I've worked with some very great people, particularly the other child study team members, my partners. And all I want to say is that it's been fun most of the time.
Just wanted you to know. Joyce Scher, would you come join me, please? After teaching preschool at Westminster University, I made it a university, nursery school, sorry, for 4 years, Joyce was first employed by the Berkeley Heights Public Schools in September of 1993 as a help teacher at Mountain Park School. Mrs. Scher served as a help and instructional review teacher at Mountain Park for 10 years before becoming a full-time grade 4 teacher at the school in September of 2003. She taught 4th grade for 6 years before moving to her current level, grade 2, in the 2009-10 school year. Joyce earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in elementary education and English from Cedar Crest College. During her years at Mountain Park, Mrs. Scher has served as computer club advisor and as a member of the Council on Instruction, District Liaison Committee, Strategic Planning Committee, in addition to being a cooperating teacher for a college student during their senior field experience. Joyce was honored as Teacher of the Year at Mountain Park for the 2011-12 school year. During her time in various educational capacities at Mountain Park, Mrs. Scher could always be counted on to be pleasant, personable, and kind, explained John Morrisell. Most recently, her professional efforts within the co-teaching model have helped to enable the Berkeley Heights School District to establish itself in the forefront of education where differentiation and inclusion are the new normal. While Joyce's time as a teacher at Mountain Park School is soon to end, it is doubtful she will actually stop teaching because her new full-time role as a grandma will undoubtedly keep the nurturer and educator of her active for many years to come. Best of luck in your retirement. Enjoy those little ones, and we wish you good health and happiness, Joyce.
It has been a pleasure working in the Berkeley Heights School District. So I would like to thank Mrs. Ratner, Mr. McKinney, Mr. Morrisell, administrators, Board of Education members, fellow teachers, and staff. It seems like yesterday when I accepted the help position from Joy Risters, the principal of Mountain Park School at the time. I was on a payphone while on vacation, no email or cell phones then. So now I can't believe that I'm standing up here 25 years later, approaching my retirement. After my experience as a help teacher and the instructional review teacher at Mountain Park, I became a 4th grade teacher working with Sherry and Terry, and then a 2nd grade teacher. As I stepped into each new role, I learned from a fantastic group of educators who were not only dedicated to the teaching profession, but most importantly, dedicated to the students. I wouldn't be on this stage today without my Mountain Park family. I also want to thank my husband, my son, and my daughter who had to put up with my late nights and weekends of planning, computer issues, and quickly prepared meals. Sorry, they weren't so great. I also need to thank my parents who made me go to college and steered me away from my dream of becoming a rockette or a ballerina. Clearly, they saw a more realistic future for me. But most of all, I want to thank all of my students who have inspired me each and every day throughout the past 25 years. So now, I am looking forward to living every day like it's Saturday and spending a lot of time with my grandchildren. So thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Ms. Georgia Smith, can you join me, please? I think that's the first time I called you Georgia. Georgia Pinky Smith will be retiring on September 1st, 2018, just over 20 years after beginning her second career as secretary in the Berkeley Heights Public Schools. Ms. Smith comes to Berkeley Heights after working in various management positions at AT&T and Warren for a total of 27 years. Her employment in our district began as a secretary for the district's Child Study Team, Department of Special Services. She moved up to Governor Livingston in 2004, where she worked primarily in the main office, in addition to serving in the guidance and health offices at different points during her 14 years at GL. Pinky's professional responsibilities have been many, including answering the intercom at the school's front door, distributing mail, typing the daily announcements, maintaining Google Calendar for the district at GL, managing the bell schedule, processing working papers for students, and tracking all field trips and fundraisers on the district calendar, among other jobs. She has also been responsible for scheduling facility usage at Governor Livingston by outside groups. Ms. Smith is a graduate of the Berkeley College Executive Secretary Program. Pinky, as she is affectionately known, has been a tremendous asset to the Governor Livingston administrative team and school community in general, said the school's principal, Robert Nixon. Her laugh and enthusiasm for life has had a positive impact on everyone who interacted with her on a daily basis. Pinky has always played a big role in organizing the school's facilities usage and helping students with the daily announcements. I will miss the smell of toast each morning and her fun stories, such as when she got to be a cheerleader on the sidelines for Super Bowl III, when Joe Namath made his famous guarantee that the Jets would beat the Baltimore Colts. Congratulations and thank you.
I'd like to thank Judy Ratner, and I hope I see you in Aruba, our favorite place, and all the administrators and the Board of Education. It has been a pleasure to work for the Berkeley Heights Board of Education and the high school, and I would like to thank Tom Long. He believed in me, he gave me a job, and I really appreciate it. And also, it's a pleasure to come to work every day and work for Rob Nixon. He's the greatest. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you.
Shalane, will you come join me, please? Mrs. Shalane Yanuzzi is retiring from Governor Livingston High School as a teacher of special education. Shalane started her employment in our district as a teacher of special ed in January of 2002. She came to Berkeley Heights after serving as a teacher of special education for the Morris County Ed Services Commission for over 11 years. Prior to that, Shalane was employed in the banking mortgage industry for several years. Mrs. Yanuzzi began her time at GL by teaching grade 9 English in both Resource Center and in-class support settings. Over the years, she's taught the Language Arts Cognitive Disabilities class and then the Self-Contained Language and Learning Disabilities class, before returning to her present assignment of Resource and in-class support English. Shalane earned her Bachelor of Arts degree in psychology from Montclair State University, and she received her Master of Arts degree in special ed from William Patterson. Outside of the classroom, Mrs. Yanuzzi has served as the Circle of Friends Club advisor, chairperson of the Student of the Month Committee, as a mentor for a novice teacher, and as a member of the Council on Instruction and Site Council. Charlene has dedicated her years of teaching to students with special needs, offered Rob Nixon. When observing her classes, I was always impressed by how she was able to balance empathy and support with the educational component. Because of her specialized training, Mrs. Yanuzzi has been able to provide direct, effective instruction in reading strategies for students at our school who have struggled to progress academically due to deficits in their reading abilities. Charlene maintains a consistently positive approach to the students she teaches, creating learning environments that are respectful and supportive. Her students have always looked up to her and found it easier to overcome their challenges as a result of her teaching ability. Thank you, Charlene, and we wish you much happiness and good health in your retirement.
I don't have anything prepared. I had oral surgery yesterday. You're saved. But I do want to thank Judy and Scott and Michelle Gardner and Kevin Morrow. We work with some really fabulous administrators, and that's one of the reasons probably that I stayed as long as I have. I also want you to know that that team at GL, Rob Nixon, you keep hearing those names, Rob Nixon and Tara and Larry, you are awesome. You are energy. And when I come in the morning, I'm old. And, I'm kind of getting there, and they are right on it. So I thank all of you. I would also like to thank the parents of the students of GL, because I don't have children of my own. I have stepchildren who love me like their own mother, I hope. And I just want to thank the parents of this district, who aren't here, for sharing those children with me, because I never really had that parent relationship until I came to GL, and it's been a really great experience. Thank you. And Board of Ed, thank you for believing in me, because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do this job when I first got it. I hope I did okay, and I'm really, really happy to have done it with you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
We do have a number of people who are unable to be here this evening, so we're just going to share their names and their years of service. Mrs. Arlene Emmy, Governor Livingston High School Mary K. McMillan Early Childhood Secretary, retired on January 1st after 20.5 years of service to the Berkeley Heights Public Schools, 5 years to the Regional District, for a total of 25.5 years.
Mrs. Martha Finch, teacher of Family and Consumer Science at Governor Livingston, 12 years of service to Berkeley Heights, all at Governor Livingston High School.
Mr. Frank Fusco, Thomas P. Hughes School custodian, retired on January 1st after 20 years of service to the Berkeley Heights Public Schools, first at Mountain Park and then at Hughes School.
Mrs. Trudy Kowalski of the Superintendent's Office. She worked as a secretary and retired on January 1st, 2018 after 21 years of service to Berkeley Heights Public Schools.
Mrs. Grace Penabad, Governor Livingston High School Secretary, 21 years of service to Berkeley Heights Public Schools, all at Governor Livingston High School and mostly in the athletic office.
Mrs. Lorraine Reedy, Mountain Park School, Mary K. McMillan Early Childhood Center, worked as a school counselor in those buildings. She retired on January 1st, 2018, after 18.5 years of service to Berkeley Heights Public Schools.
And Mrs. Beth Breezak, Governor Livingston High School, teacher of American Sign Language, 20 years of service to Berkeley Heights Public School, 12 years of service to the Regional District for a total of 33 years, 32 of those at Governor Livingston High School. So I just want to wrap up with a quote from Henry Brooks Adams that kind of sums up not only our Educators of the Year, but our retirees. We always need to remember that teachers affect eternity. No one can tell where their influence stops. All of the lives that they have touched over the years will remain on in the students as they move on in their life and do great things in this society. So we want to thank all of you once again for all of your incredible work and for all of the wonderful things that you have done for all of the students of Berkeley Heights and Mountainside. Thank you again.